Hey yo, it's your boy, Mr. G, coming at you for a video about subtracting integers. So let's get it. Now, the first thing we need to know about subtracting integers is what the key term difference means. Now, difference hopefully is a review vocabulary term for you. Hopefully you've heard it before, and hopefully you already know that it is a result of subtracting one number from another number. So really, the difference is also, we can also say it's the answer to a subtraction problem. So for example, if I said, hey, what's the difference between 9 and 4? You would hopefully be able to do 9 minus 4 and tell me that, well, the difference between 9 and 4 is 5. Okay, so difference, answer of a subtraction problem, or the result of subtracting one number from another. All right, so because we're doing subtraction, that's why we're talking about difference. But what we're going to do today is we're going to subtract positives and negative numbers. So if you see here, I have the problem 4 minus negative 3. So I have a double negative here. I have two negative numbers, or two negative signs next to each other, which always looks kind of confusing. But I'm subtracting negative numbers. Okay, so what I want to do first is I want to show you an example of how we learn how to do subtraction, probably back in first grade. Okay, this is my guess. When you were in first grade, you probably did 4 minus 3. And my guess is when you did 4 minus 3, it's like you started off with 4, so maybe you did it with apples instead of plus signs, but we're going to do it with plus signs. So I have positive 4 here. I'm starting off with my first value, and I'm modeling it with some counters. And then we said subtraction means to take things away. So you might have had 4 apples, 4 plus signs, and then we said, hey, take away 3 of them. So if I take away 3, that's 1, 2, 3. I'm left with positive 1. So 4 minus 3 is 1. So that's how you probably learned subtraction the very first time you learned subtraction. And if you don't remember that, it's still probably how it happened. So what we're going to do is we're going to model it and do it the same exact way. The problem is that if I were to start with 4 over here, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, it's asking me to take away 3 negatives instead of 3 positives. So before I was subtracting 3 positives here. Okay, because this is just positive 4 minus positive 3. I don't see another negative sign here, right? So the subtraction symbol is not part of this. This is different. So if I have 4 and I'm subtracting a positive 3, I was able to take away 3 of my positives. Well, this is positive 4 and I'm subtracting negative 3. I don't have 3 negative chips to take away. So what we're going to do is we're going to add negative chips in there, or negative counters in there. And here's how we do that. So going back to this original problem of 4 minus 3, if I were to add 0 to this, is the answer still going to be positive 1? So if I have 4 minus 3 plus 0 is the answer 1. And the answer is yes, because when you add 0 to something, it doesn't change anything. So by adding 0 to it, I could also say, well, that's the same thing as adding a 0 pair. If I added a 0 pair here, so I added a positive chip with the negative, that's considered a 0 pair. Because remember, it's a pair of a positive counter, a negative counter. A positive counter and a negative counter combined equals 0. That's a 0 pair. So I added 0 to my counters. So if I added 0 to 4 minus 3, that doesn't change the value. The answer is still 1. If I added 0 to my counters, that means it also won't change the value, and it's still going to be 1, because if I were to cancel these out, I still am left with positive 1. So you're allowed to add 0 in math to anything you want, and sometimes it lets you take things away that weren't there in the first place. So by adding a 0 pair, I added a negative counter, and what this is going to do is this is going to allow me to take away 3 negatives if I don't have them. So here's what I mean by that. I'm going to erase this. So looking back to our original problem, I have my 4 counters, and I need to take away 3 negatives. I don't have negatives. But what I can do is I can add 1, 2, 3, 0 pairs. So that now I have enough negatives to take away. Because subtraction means to take something away. So I needed to take away 3 negative chips. Well, now I have 3 negative chips. I could technically cross these all off, right? But then I'm back to where I started with just 4 positive chips. So I added 0 3 different times here. And let's go back. If I had 4 minus 3 and I added 0 3 times, well, isn't the answer still going to be positive 1? It doesn't change the value of the problem by adding 0. So I added 0 3 times. Now I have my 3 negative chips that I can take away. Do I have any 0 pairs anymore to cancel things out? No. And I'm left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 positive chips. So the answer to 4 minus negative 3 is positive 7. So I know it's a little weird, so we're going to get some practice with this. Okay, it's a little bit different, but it's really just if we don't have the negative chips that we need to, if we don't have the right amount of chips of a certain kind to take away, we need to add them by adding 0 pairs. So let's look at the second one here. So I have 6 minus negative 3. So I need to start off with 6 positives here. Start off with my first value, 5. So I have 6 positive, 1, 2, 3, 4, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I promise I can count, guys. Okay, so I got 6 positives. So I need to take away 3 negative chips. Well, I don't have any negative chips. So because of that, I'm going to add 3 negative chips by adding 3 0 pairs because I need to have negative chips to take away. So I'm adding 0, so I didn't change anything, so I'm allowed to add 0 in math. So I added 3 zeros, which now I have my 3 negative chips to take away. So I had 6 minus negative 3. I took away my 3 negatives. I'm left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So my answer is positive 9. All right, let's look at another one here. If you want, please pause and try this one on your own. See how you do here. Okay, this is a good one to try, and then we'll also maybe even try 5 minus 8 on our own as well. So negative 2 minus negative 5. So now I'm starting off with 2 negative chips. That's fine. So when I model, I'm going to start with my 2 negatives. Okay, negative 1, negative 2. This represents 2 negatives right here. Now it's having me take away 5 negatives. Do I have 5 negatives to take away? No, I have 2 negatives to take away, but I'm supposed to take away 5 of them. So I need to add 3 more negatives. But if I wanted to add 3 more negatives so I can take them away, that means I have to add them in 0 pairs so I don't change the value of the problem. So I'm adding 0 3 times. So now I have 1, 2, 3 more negatives to take away. So I was able to take away 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 negatives, and I'm left with 3 positives. So the answer is positive 3. So that's what's kind of crazy here, is I had a problem that was negative 2 minus negative 5. Look at all these negative signs here, and my answer was still positive in the end. Now, your answer is not always going to be positive, but it just happened to work out this way. Okay, and we'll show why more in part 2 as to how this kind of worked out. But subtracting a negative, I had a negative 2 minus negative 5, I left with positive 3 because I added those 0 pairs. Now, if you did not try this one, I definitely want you to try 5 minus 8 on your own by modeling with counters. So pause it and try it on your own. Okay, so I have positive 5. So I need to start with 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 5 positives here. I need to subtract 8. So if I need to take away 8, well, okay, let's try to take away 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many more do I need to take away? I'm 3 short. I still have to take away 3 more. So there's 1, 2, 3. But I don't just get to add those 3 to take them away. If I ever have to add counters that weren't already there, I have to add them as 0 pairs. So I added 3 0 pairs because now I have 1, 2, 3 more to take away. So that was able to take away 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I started with positive 5 and I subtracted 8. And my answer is negative 3 because that's what's remaining. All right. Now, for things to remember, the biggest thing that we talked about here is when you're subtracting, we may need to add 0 pairs so that we can take away the right amount of positives or negatives. Now, you don't always have to add the 0 pairs, but sometimes you're just going to have to. Okay? But it won't always be the case. So make sure you add 0 pairs, which is a positive and a negative, if you run out of chips to take away for your subtraction. Okay? And that is it. If you have any other things to remember, please write them down. Hopefully this video helped. This will take some practice. Practice your actual models. Okay, make sure you take the time to draw out your counters. And we do not model on a number line with subtraction because it's way more difficult, to be honest with you, and this is something that we don't like to do. So we're going to only model with counters, and hopefully this helped. Okay, and if you guys have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask, and make sure you are practicing. All right, guys, have a great day. G out.